had this judgment from the NPA, National Prosecution Authority, because this case was prosecuted by the state. So are you able to provide factual information before this committee that you made efforts to retrieve that judgment so that this person could be terminated from this payroll accordingly?
Thank you. You can proceed and answer that question through the PS and honorable colleagues. I think on payroll then we have a position. We just wanted to, then we can make progress. So proceed, PO for Eastern Province.
Thank you for the time once again. There is nothing that is there in writing, and that's why we have charged Debs. We realize that the procedure that was being followed has no evidence. We have charged him for that. I submit.
Thank you. PS, these issues pertaining to payroll, like I indicated in my earlier submission, they are not even supposed to be here. Yes, we've seen the reduction from your ministry, and we implore you that let's clean up. Where's your director HR? Let's clean up these payroll issues as quickly as possible, so that yes, we know your ministry is vast, but you've got your HR officers sitting dotted around. Make them run and ensure that these things are extinguished, because we cannot be making new recommendations. These are related issues, and we did make strong recommendations, so we want to see progress as we move.
To the last question that was asked.
You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. The last was on disciplinary issues, the delay, and what have we done now to make sure that we engage PSMD. I think first and foremost, the biggest issue at one point was the process. That when, for instance, I'll give an example of a teacher. A teacher is found wanting, it means the head picks it up. He has to make sure that that case they sit down. And after that has been done, it will now be relegated to the DEBs. The DEBs will also sit down, looking at the issues and the grounds that have been put across from the head mistress's point of view or headmaster's point of view. It will then move to the PO. The PO will also now sit to also hear from what has transpired at DEB's level. Then from PO, it now comes to head office. At head office, we convene also a committee of disciplinary chaired by the PS, where now we look at the matter. After that, it will then now move to the Teaching Service Commission, who then finally, looking at what we have said, will be able to now be able to say this person is dismissed or whatever verdict that comes out of that. However, I did note, as I sit at the ministry, that sometimes it's not really the process, and which I have corrected. What is the biggest problem that I've found is that when a case begins, sometimes it takes long for those sitting to actually sit. It moves to DEBs another 1 year. If the cases were, for instance, if it's a dismissal, we know very well that someone who has absconded, for instance, 10 days according to the Employment Act is supposed to be dismissed. Initially, what should have happened is that at school level, they should sit moves to DEBs. DEBs should also quickly sit. So if they are delaying 1 year, 2, 3 years, the process delays. So what I've done now, I've put it very clearly to everyone, and I think they all know now. It's a new stance when we are hearing these disciplinary issues. First of all, it's costing the government. People do on payroll, and sometimes they don't even care. They know that after all, the salary will be in the account. So even if I don't teach, because nobody cares, it's now starting from whoever delays in the process is found wanting. And if you've noticed, those are the kind of disciplinary stance that I've taken now. Those days would say, okay, it's like business as usual. Now, no. We look at how long did it take from one stage to the other. We have to actually make sure that the supervisor should say charge the person who actually delayed, right up to the ladder when it reaches my office. Now, as PSMD, I've engaged PSMD because there's one circular that talked about by the time we are going to make sure that someone is being dismissed, even for instance on cases of someone who absconds, we know very well that the law says 10 days. That person will be dismissed. Whether I like it or not, there's nothing like there be any compromise. He's actually absconded 10 days. I wanted to find out from them why we should be waiting until the whole process, 5 years. That's when now we remove someone from payroll, because that's the rule. You cannot remove someone from payroll. Even those blockings we do are not supposed to be done that way. Until exhaustion has been done, Teaching Service Commission now gives that go ahead. But I thought we could engage and say, how best can we, especially for cases of dismissal, that maybe we can quickly just be able to take off someone from payroll and then be able to now conclude the matters, because we know very well that at one stage somebody is supposed to be dismissed according to the law. So we are trying to engage to see how best we can shorten the process.
Thank you,
on that one. Yes.
Thank you. Let's make progress. So we are moving to page 9.
Sorry, Chair. As we make progress, I just wanted details from particularly the HR Directorate in the ministry on these payroll issues. In Wapula, there's a unique case where an HR introduces someone on the payroll, an unappointed person on the payroll, and the matter was reported to the police. Now, my concern with that one, I just wanted the PS to tell us how the controls are. If one officer in a province can just introduce someone who's unappointed, what controls are there? I think that one was happening in Wapula, and could be happening, well, it's a sample, audit is a sample, it could be happening everywhere. So how possible is it that one officer can introduce someone who's not appointed on the payroll without the knowledge of management? What is the internal controls in the HR Directorate to prevent this?
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
Thank you so much. I think that one, it's not I allow Director Finance to respond to that query, because there are now controls. It used to happen, but now there are controls that have been put in place. Maybe he can speak to those ones.
Director of Finance, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, PS, for the opportunity to respond. Indeed, as alluded to by the PS, those issues used to arise because at the district we used to lack internal auditors. But starting from 2022, we introduced enhanced controls on the payroll. We have 4 places that needs to check when the end user has prepared the introduction or anything that they want to effect on the payslip of an officer. Is supposed to be checked by the supervisor at all levels. For example, at the headquarters, it is checked by the director himself what the end user has done, and before they come for payment, for approval in the accounts, they go to internal audit. Internal audit will verify, and these inputs move with a file of a particular officer, so that we establish that this person is going to be paid what is legitimate. And this officer in the ministry that is not checked by internal audit. All debts, they submit their inputs to the internal auditor at the PO. Until when internal auditor has cleared, that's when it comes for authorization in the accounts, so that that particular officer is due a payment. So this is our Chairperson. We have enhanced the controls on the PMIC. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Mfarari.
About them here, and the ministry should not even tell us that they have put new systems. They were there. PEMIC was here. They were brought here, and they told us that we have done those things. Now, if they were this question or this person was getting paid all the way up to 2023, when did they reinforce what was agreed with PEMIC and all these standard procedures that they are talking about?
Chair can answer.
Thank you. You can proceed. I think that's the last intervention, honorable colleagues.
The enhancement happened, I think if I'm not wrong, 2023. That's when the enhancement came in. Director HR, am I right? 2023.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, we make progress. Proceed to page 9. Misappropriation of funds, Wapula province. That's where you want to. Okay. Failure to remit pay as you earn. Tackle that one. We can do that one, and also look at employment of temporary workers, casualization, Western Province, management of liabilities, failure to settle outstanding obligations. We can combine. So I want 2 questions there, then we can make progress on page. We'll move to page 12. Honorable Mula, you can proceed.
Chair, on page 10, failure to remit pay as you earn, Western Province. The response is that the province has been reprimanded. And Chair, the committee is aware that when we had ZRA area in the sittings, they cited government institutions as one of the culprits that delay or fail to remit pay as you earn. And we have a case, an example here for Western Province. The response is that the province has been reprimanded. Now, doesn't this amount to misappropriation of funds? Because by reprimanding the province, it means that the ministry funded the province in full to pay either long service bonus or settling allowance or leave terminal benefits. The province was funded in full, but they choose not to remit pay as you earn. Where did the money go then, if not remitted to ZRA? Because there's a reprimand here to the province. So where did the money that was meant to go to ZRA, where was it applied? I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Luma, you can proceed.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, regarding failure to remit pay as you earn, this money was deducted in full against 5 stations, and now we are told somebody somewhere decided to do a partial payment. So I just wanted to get an answer as a committee from Western Province as to who made this decision of partial payment when the deductions were done in full, and the remaining amount, where did it go? I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, you can proceed and answer those 2 questions.
Thank you so much. I'll partially answer pay as you earn. I think it's in 2 folds. Many times, in fact, that's the one that is frequent, is that we send monies, but without, what would I say, net? We don't have enough money to cover the net and the one that is supposed to go to pay as you earn. Usually it's because the provinces will find themselves in that situation. So all they choose to do is pay someone, but without that, because there isn't enough. So that issue the honorable member raised, yes, it's true. Mostly we don't give them enough money. The money will just be to cover the net pay, and as a result you find the pay as you earn component will keep on accumulating. But I think I want Director of Finance, because that's his area, to explain a bit more on that one. And you can also take up, if you allow me, Chair, to also look at the partial payment part. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You can proceed, Director of Finance.
Thank you. PS, what I want to submit, Chairperson, is that we have a huge outstanding bill, which the auditors have alluded to, to the tune of 1.2 billion, which has been accumulating over the years. And when we receive funding from the Treasury, it's not enough to extinguish the 1.2 billion. It's partial funding. And we also send money to provinces to pay. However, we give them the guidelines. And what we tell them is that you prioritize your payments so that you follow those who have retired, and those who have retired, you also prioritize those who are still in institution houses. And we also tell them that when you touch one case, conclude it so that it moves out of the list. But what must have happened in this case, or what happened in this case, is that the money is funded, it is not adequate, and they have a long list. They do the calculations of what is due to ZRA, then they pay the net pays to the representative or to the beneficiaries as a way of increasing the number of beneficiaries who should receive from that allocation. I know I need to admit, Chairperson, that there is pressure on the ground because some of these dates goes back to 2008 and to current. So in order to meet at least as many retirees and the beneficiaries as possible, the districts and provinces, they are tempted to pay first the net pays with a view that when Treasury give us money, then we are going to pay as you earn. Hence, it has brought us to this stage. However, the way forward will be important. We have insisted.
Yeah.
Thank you. Honorable Mfarari, what's the point of order?
We have a lot of work that we need to look at. The answers should be short. We are requesting for short answers. That's one. Two, Chair, where is the Accountant General?
The representative is here.
Is here. We wanted the Accountant General. The Accountant General came here, I think, through the representative, and told us an ideal situation about pay-as-you-earn. I'm the one who asked the question on pay-as-you-earn, on returns, that they don't make returns. And we are, the situation that the Director of Finance is explaining is totally different from what is supposed to obtain on the ground. They are not supposed to give to the provinces pay-as-you-earn. You are supposed to deduct it from the center. That's what we are told, that it must go straight to ZRA. But now we are being told that they give and then they decide what they do with it. Then why reprimand them if you give them that latitude to do what they wish to do? Why should you reprimand an officer who you have given the latitude to say you can do what you can with what we have been given? There's no need to reprimand such. So there is a contradiction from the Director of Finance. According to Accountant General, could we maybe could there be clarification? Is this pay-as-you-earn, is it salaries or it's something else?
Thank you for the opportunity. The pay-as-you-earn deducted a pay ZRA. We have no touch over. But the payments for long service bonus, settling in allowance, terminal, those are deducted, including provinces and districts. So this is the case that we are discussing. I submit.
Honorable Mai.
Mr. Chairman, I want the Director of Finance to read the query on page 10. The query is, pay-as-you-earn was deducted from officers at 5 stations in Western Province. PO's office 527, Mongo District Office 725, Nkema 399, Luampa 9,000, Mongo College of Education 9,800. Now, these deductions were done, but this money was not remitted to ZRA. So the response is that they did partial payments and the province. So I wanted at what level did somebody to do a partial from an officer to pay ZRA a partial? So how did it happen? Because from these officers at 5 stations, money was deducted in full, but to ZRA they decided to pay, to make partial payments. So I wanted to understand the movement of this partial payment and how was the province reprimanded. I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Amima.
Chair, further to what Honorable Myers asked, PS, your submission on page 10 is that you have reprimanded the province. Now, the Director of Finance is talking about this being an arrear and so forth. So, why isn't your submission saying that you are underfunded from Treasury? Because when you read your submission on page 10, it gives an impression that the province decided to give a partial payment on their own accord after being fully funded, and that you reprimanded them. So if you are now making a new submission that you are being underfunded and you need to dismantle these arrears, so PS, is it your submission that this submission of yours on page 10 is not does not reflect the true position? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
Chair, thank you so much. I think this is totally different from what Director of Finance was giving. This is clear that it was remittance was done holistically. So if it was done holistically, allow me, Chair, to refer to the province so that they can give the answer. Thank you so much.
The province through the PS. You can give chance there. We're dealing with Western. You can sit. Enjoy the seat. Let's have Western Province here.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. Referring to the pay as you earn that was not remitted and deducted from the 5 stations, it still comes to what the director was trying to explain. We were making partial payments from 2009 up to 2022. The partial payments meant that when we have the money, we do the net on each officer, but we do not have what to remit to ZRA, because we need to ensure that the people that are appearing in order of the earlier retired or the deceased, we give them. But we don't give them the ZRA, we just give them the net. So what we did, I should admit that it was wrong, and PS did charge us after that. And when we received funding 2023, we had a delay in the remittance because we were failing to register on the Smart Pay. After registration on Smart Pay, we made a payment to ZRA 1,061,253.84 for Mongo, and also from our office, Provincial Education Office, we remitted 271,461.43 Ngwe. This is actually what we remitted, and what is appearing in the query is the balance not yet as we for more. So what is there is just the balance. As we get more funds, we'll definitely make that remittance. It's on our table.
Thank you. Honorable Muira, then AG, you come and give a comment. Honorable Muira can proceed.
Yes, Chair, AG should clarify because we are looking at the audit for year 2023. Now the explanation seems to bring in legacy issues 2008 and all those years. But here, this finding relates to 2023. Unless the Auditor General can clarify that the 1,667,913 is an accumulation even from previous years. But I want to take it that we have a specific we should restrict the response to the year 2023 which has been cited in this report. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. AG, maybe you can clarify.
Thank you, Chair. I will also allow my colleague, perhaps who was on the ground, but this issue was, and I don't know why we are changing the position in terms of the client, the way they are reacting, because at the time of confirming facts, that is the way it was as we had reported. So perhaps I can also allow my colleague to just shed more information.
Thank you. Please shed more light. I don't know who's Mr. Daka.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to explain a bit of how the query came about. The original query that we raised was very clear. We indicated that during the period under review, was the period under review we're talking of 2023, 5 stations deducted pay as you earn in amounts totaling 1.6 million from settling in allowance, long service bonus, leave terminal benefits, from the amount 5,558,727 44 officers. So the query was very clear. Province, and they say DO has since made some payments to Zambia Revenue Authority, while the other district education offices, provincial education office, and Mongo College of Education has since submitted outstanding bills to the ministry. That was the response that was coming from the ministry. And when we did the verification, we did indicate that the evidence that was availed then was not sufficient. So this matter remained outstanding and upgraded in the Auditor General's report. I submit.
Thank you. As a clarification, honorable colleagues. Any follow-up questions? Honorable Muila. Please switch off the mic, Mr. Daka. Switch off the mic.
So then the question, Chair, is where did the money go? Because this is 2023, fully funded, deducted, but partially paid to ZRA. So where was the balance taken? It was meant for ZRA. Where was it taken? And who made decisions to divert the money from ZRA to other areas which were not part of the utilization of these funds? I submit.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed and answer those questions.
Thank you, Chair. I think the PO now is seeing the clarification. I can explain through you, Chair, if you can allow me.
Thank you. PO, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. For DO and the Provincial Education Office, I'm presenting to you the payments which were done. There must have been a misunderstanding. Funds which should have been taken to ZRA for our office have been placed right. Probably I could request through the PS and you, Chair, that I request for our regional accountant to assist me on the other districts, because I based my answering on the two that were appearing and where we have made the payment. I request from PS through your Chair.
PS, you have the accountant here. Is it the provincial accountant? Maybe, where's the provincial accountant? Please take a seat where Eastern Province you can rest. Tell us about those other payments. Your name and your position and proceed to answer.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Michael Kanyanta. I am a regional accountant at Provincial Education Office. In the year under review, the office was funded funds for the payment of, for instance, I'll give the Provincial Education Office, we funded a total of 1.4 million, and these funds, by the time the auditors came, we had reserved funds amounting to 200 and